On September 18, 1968, Western intelligence picked up a signal from Zond 5, a Soviet lunar mission. The messages were unusual. They emitted the voices of cosmonauts Valery Bykovsky, Vitaly Sevastyanov, and Pavel Popovich, speaking as if they were just about to land on the moon. Quote, "The flight is proceeding according to normal. We're approaching the surface." The CIA and NASA were horrified and didn't know whether Russia had just beat them to the moon or if it was all a hoax. Ultimately, it turned out to be a little of both. Last resort. By 1968, over a decade had passed since the Soviets had stunned the world with the Sputnik launch, and only a few experts believed the Soviet Union had a slight chance of beating the United States to the moon. NASA had their new Saturn V rocket ready by the fall, and the Apollo program was only weeks away from launching their first crewed flight. Meanwhile, the Soviets, thanks to infighting and funding issues, still didn't possess a functioning launch vehicle that could carry a spacecraft to the moon with the heavy cargo needed to support human life safely. Besides, the Soviet space program suffered a degrading public image with an extensive list of delays, impediments, and tragedy, including cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov's ill-fated mission in which his spacecraft fell back into Earth. The Soviets didn't have anything to lose, so the Zond 5 mission was their last-ditch effort to beat America in a space milestone. If they couldn't send Yuri Gagarin to the moon before the Apollo men, they would at least be the first to successfully send a living being to the satellite. The launch was set for mid-September of that year. Zond. In the race to get humans to the moon, the Soviet Union funded two separate programs. The first one, the N-1, was the Russian counterpart to NASA's Saturn V rocket, whose ultimate mission was to land a single cosmonaut on the satellite. The second program was named Zond, the Russian word for probe, and included two independent series of robotic spacecraft machinery launched in the mid-1960s. Its objective was to send two cosmonauts on circumlunar missions without a moon landing. After several failed launch attempts, the Russians finally achieved partial success with Zond 4 in the early spring of 1968, testing the spacecraft system to lunar-like distances, but not around the moon itself. A few months after analyzing the technical problems Zond 4 encountered during a failed soft landing in Soviet territory, the Russians were ready to try again with Zond 5. The Soviet scientists then decided which animal or life forms would be best suited to travel to the moon. Due to their easy-to-secure shells, the experts chose two Russian tortoises for Zond 5, each with a pre-flight weight of 0.75 to 0.88 pounds. There were two other tortoises used as control specimens, and four more in a vivarium. In addition, the scientists also selected a diverse biological payload for the mission, including various legumes, fruits, root vegetables, fruit fly eggs, and single-celled strains of bacteria and wildflower species. The purpose of sending this diverse lightweight payload was to test a wide range of terrestrial lifeforms' effects when coming in contact with cosmic radiation. However, whatever the outcome of the tests, the results would not be analogous or equivalent to humans, as all of the chosen life forms had high radio resistance. Thus, the Russian Academy of Sciences put a dummy with radiation sensors on the pilot seat to achieve as similar an effect as possible at the time. Mission. On September 15, 1968, Zond 5 successfully launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. After a short time in a low Earth parking orbit, the device's upper stage ignited again to send off the spacecraft and its small living crew to the moon. 3 days later, Zond 5 flew around the moon, 1,200 miles above the satellite's far side, and was ready to begin the trip back to Earth. Then, on September 21st, the spacecraft re-entered the atmosphere, but could not complete a soft landing in Soviet land due to a guidance system error, and instead splashed down in the Indian Ocean. During the spacecraft's recovery, United States Navy vessels photographed the Zond 5 bobbing in the water as Soviet sailors tried to recover it. Finally, in early October, a Russian cargo transport flew back to Moscow with the spacecraft in tow. Soviet moon landing hoax. On September 19th, the Jodrell Bank Discovery Center Observatory in the United Kingdom and the CIA intercepted a strange series of messages. The messages contained the voices of famed cosmonauts Valery Bykovsky, Vitaly Sevastyanov, and Pavel Popovich reading out telemetry data and critical computer readings while discussing a landing attempt. The interceptors were shocked, and they wondered if the Soviets had secretly beat NASA to the moon. According to Gemini and Apollo astronaut and longtime NASA employee Eugene Cernan, the strange remarks shocked everyone on the receiving end. But unbeknownst to the men working for the Central Intelligence Agency, the Soviet men were only messing around, trying to hoax the Westerners by faking a moon landing. According to cosmonaut Popovich, quote, "When we realized we would never make it to the moon, we decided to engage in a little bit of hooliganism. We asked our engineers to link the on-the-probe receiver to the transmitter with a jumper wire. Moon flight missions were then controlled from a command center in Yevpatoria in the Crimea. When the probe was on its path around the moon, I was at the center. So I took the mic and said, 'The flight is proceeding according to normal. We're approaching the surface.' The Westerners bit the bait, and for a moment they truly believed Russia had landed on the moon. Even Frank Borman, U.S. space advisor, received an angry phone call from President Richard Nixon, who asked, quote, 'Why is Popovich reporting from the moon?' The Russians' playful ways caused real turmoil. About a month later, when Frank Borman visited the Soviet Union, he specifically requested to talk to Popovich at the airport. Then, as soon as he stepped out of his plane, Borman ran directly to the cosmonaut and yelled, quote, 'Hey you, space hooligan.'" Conclusion. Despite the landing issues, Zond 5 was the first spacecraft to complete a successful circumlunar mission while safely returning to Earth with its biological payload intact. The operation also retrieved high-quality photographs of the planet, taken at a distance of 56,000 miles. The Soviets had proven that they were not giving up on the space race, at least not without a fight. Upon hearing the news, a British top astronomer and space expert confidently stated that the Zond 5 mission showed Russia was ahead in the space race. In addition to this announcement, the British Interplanetary Society stated its belief that the USSR would be ready to send their cosmonauts around the moon in a matter of months. However, by October, American sources began to claim that the mission had not been as successful as the Soviets advertised it, and that in reality, the Zond 5 mission had flown further away from the moon than initially intended. The group of sources also claimed that the angle at which the device re-entered the atmosphere was too steep for an actual human being to survive. By November, the official Soviet news agency officially declared that Russia had become the first country to carry living beings around the moon's orbit. The tortoises, identified as number 22 and number 37, were analyzed and dissected after a prolonged fasting period and had only lost a tenth of their total body weight during the mission. They also showed no loss of appetite. The scientists concluded that the changes in 22 and 37 were primarily caused by starvation and entirely unrelated to space travel. That same month, the Russians also announced that Zond was planned as a precursor to a crewed lunar spacecraft. The announcement came only a month before the scheduled Apollo 8 flight in order to show the Americans their capabilities. However, that mission never happened, and Apollo 8, the first crewed flight to the moon, ultimately beat the Russians. On July 20th, 1969, the United States became the first country to put a man and a flag on the moon. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our 8 Dark Documentaries channels and hit the bell icon to be notified of all our newest content. Also, please leave us a comment below if you have a story you'd like to see featured on an upcoming video.